Hello and welcome to C# tutorial for beginners. I am Ajit Srivastava. This is part 9 where we'll be discussing about if-else statement in C#. So what we'll be learning today is just a simple if statement, then how to write if-else statement, followed by how to write if-else and if statement. So let's start with if statement. So you can see here what is if statement. If statement is just a logical blocks which get executed when a condition evaluates to true. Okay, so if you'll see the syntax, so if followed by certain condition you have to give, so this condition will be will result into a boolean, like it has to be either true or false. So this is the next statement that you are saying, right? This statement will get executed only when if this condition evaluates to true. So with that, let's see the example. So let's say I am saying if, I'll say just true. This statement could be anything. Okay, either directly true false or any other statements which is returning into a true false. It could be even a function call as well. So but for now let's take if true, and I am saying console dot write line condition is true. Okay, so let's just press F5 button to run, and since this condition is true, it should print condition is true. So you can see condition is true getting printed, right? What if I'll simply say false? Just press F5 and nothing should get printed because this condition is false. This condition is false, so this line will not get printed. So you just keep in mind, like if you are not giving any curly brace or something, so the immediate next line will fall under this if statement. For example, if we'll give this line console dot write line outside of if block. Okay, if we give this, so let's run it. You should be able to see outside of if block. That means whatever if this condition is true, the immediate line will get executed. If this condition is false, immediate line will not get executed. Okay, this is a simple way of having the condition. You can have any condition. For example, int I equals 10 and j equals 20, right? So here we'll be using conditional operator. If you are not aware of what conditional operator is, I would recommend you to go to part 6 first, where we have explained what kind of operators are available in C# in great details. So as I mentioned, like we can use conditional operator here, right? So we can simply say if I is greater than j, right? So if you'll see 10 is greater than 20, which is false, so this should not basically print this line. So with that, just press F5 and you can see condition is true is not getting printed, right? But if you change this condition, whether I is lesser than j, press F5, it will print condition is true, right? So with this you can simply use any conditional operator, or even you can use another function. So this is all about if statement. So now let's talk about another condition where we want to print some statement in else condition as well. Else condition in the sense, if this condition is false, then it should print. So that comes as else. So the keyword for else is just this one, and again you print the same, any statement. So condition is false, right? So what will happen is, if this statement is not true, then it will print the else part. Again same condition applies here. This condition is not true, it will come to else part, and whatever the statement that we are giving just after else, it will try to execute that part. Okay, so let me just try to make this condition false. Now let me try to run it. You can see both the statement is getting printed. Condition is false outside of if block, right? So this is if else part. Okay, Now let's say I have multiple conditions, right? For example, let's say I am adding one more variable, k equals 30. Okay, so now what I'll do is, if I is greater than j, let's say instead of this I want to print I is greater. Okay, else, so else if how we can use is this, just have another if here. If j is greater than k, another condition you have to give, that's it. Then you will print j is greater than k. Similarly, you can print here when otherwise, else, again you can print, let's print k is greater than j. Okay, so like this what we can do is we can have multiple conditions. So what it will do is, first of all it will try to execute this. Okay, it will try to evaluate this condition. If this become false, it will come to this part. Okay, here also it will try to execute this condition. If this also become false, it will try to come to else part and it will print this. You can have as many conditions as you want. For example, else if I is greater than k, right? Here also I want to print something so right line right. So with that you can have as many conditions as you want. Okay, so with that let me just run it, and you can see only one will get printed, k is greater than j. So just say verify if, so you can see 10 is greater than 20, false, so it will come here. Whether 20 is greater than 30, false, so it will come here. Whether 10 is greater than 30, false, so it will come here, and finally else block will get executed. Okay, so just one thing you should keep in mind is, if you are using if else or if else if conditions, only one block will get executed. Okay, so what we call as a block is whatever the code that you will write in between, whatever the selected piece I am showing, right, that we call as a block. Now let's say another scenario, if I is greater than j, I want to execute not only one line of statement but multiple, right? So how we can achieve that? To do that you have to just enter that block in this curly brace. So whatever the line of statement you will add within this, right, let me print. Let's say I am saying first, right, let me add for this last block it is, right? You can have for them as well. So it's up to, if you are trying to execute, if your block is having just one line, then this brace is not mandatory. But if you want to have multiple lines, multiple statement, then this brace is mandatory for you. Okay, so if you'll run this, you should be able to see the this block is getting printed, last else block, right? So two things you have to keep in mind. One is, any if statement will get executed when its condition becomes true. If you are using if else statement, if condition is not true, it will always execute the else statement. If you are using if else if statement, it will always print only one block. Okay, whatever the block it is getting satisfied. There could be a scenario like you don't want to print else itself, so you will have just if else if condition, you will not have any else, right? So since none of these is getting satisfied, none of these statement is evaluating to true, none of the blocks will get executed, right? So just press F5. So you'll see outside of if block only get printed, which is this one. That means none of the block got executed because none of the if statement evaluate to true. Okay, so as I mentioned, like if statement is a logical block which get executed when the condition evaluates to true. As shown in demo, this condition will evaluate to true, then only this statement will get executed, right? For if else is a pair of logical blocks, that means it always comes with if and else, okay, that's why it's a pair, under which one block will get executed based on whether condition is evaluated to true or false. Means one block will get executed means either this block will get executed or this, okay. So if condition evaluates to true, this statement will get printed, otherwise this statement will get executed, right? So if else if can consist of multiple logical blocks under which one block will get executed based on whether condition is evaluated to true or false, okay. So if this condition 1 evaluates to true, this statement will get printed. Else if condition 2 evaluates to true, then this statement will get printed, otherwise final statement will get printed. As I mentioned in demo, else part is not mandatory. If you want to remove, you can remove it, and you can have multiple else if conditions, okay. Based on the requirement, you can have multiple else if conditions. This is what I had for if else statement. Thanks for watching this video and have a good day.